Everyone's been quite frustrated with insurance companies lately, and I think it's completely understandable. I want to give you an example of what we deal with as providers on a day-to-day basis, trying to advocate for our patients. I really think the doctor and patient are on the same side, and then we just have to deal with the insurance companies. I had a patient see me for very painful arthritis of the big toe joint. He had decided to proceed with a procedure known as a chilectomy. Very specific pronunciation, very specific procedure there. So her insurance company was United Healthcare. We had her scheduled for surgery, and I made the decision to offer this procedure, get her scheduled for surgery based on my understanding of arthritis of the big toe joints. So ultimately, United Healthcare required a peer-to-peer to be performed to authorize the surgery that I thought was best suited for the patient's condition based on my training. This was scheduled. The person that I spoke with was a nurse. Nothing against nurses, but this particular nurse had no background in podiatry or orthopedics with respect to the foot and ankle. And the most troubling thing, and the first red flag, was she couldn't pronounce the name of the procedure, a chilectomy. In addition to that, she did not know what the procedure was. So ultimately, the individual that's in charge of deciding whether this patient should have authorization for a procedure is being dictated by an individual that has no training on the procedure itself and can't even pronounce the procedure. So I took the opportunity to educate the nurse on what the procedure was and why it was medically appropriate and indicated and justified for this particular patient to have the surgery in the first place. So luckily it was authorized. The patient had her surgery. She did very well post-op, and we submitted a claim to get payment for the services rendered. And you know what happened? The claim was denied because of no authorization on file. But it was then denied after we submit the claim, so we didn't get paid for the surgery. So this led to a lot of administrative work. We had to call United Healthcare and tell them that we did a peer-to-peer, we got authorization for the surgery, we did the surgery, the patient did well, which they could probably care less about. But they didn't have the authorization on file. So you know what we had to do? We had to take the letter that they put together and mailed to us and send it back to them for them to see that there was actually an authorization rendered to us. And ultimately, it was paid probably 6 months down the road after the procedure was done. Ultimately, the patient did well. That's the most important thing. But you can see that there are not only frustrations from the perspective of the patient, but also from the provider. And ultimately, my thoughts are the patient and provider are on the same team, and the middleman is really the insurance company that gets in the way of rendering appropriate, justified care for the patient.